In this episode of True Crimes Unfold, we discover the case Yan Min, a wealthy influencer whose vacation in Thailand turned into a gruesome tragedy. A gripping story of deception, betrayal, and a chilling murder that unravels the glamorous facade and dark side of social media influencers. Please note that events and scenarios in this video may be graphic for some viewers. Discretion is advised. Details of the videos are taken from actual case files. Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you're listening from, what type of cases you'd like us to cover next, and we'll make sure to add them to our list. And don't forget to subscribe to get new stories as soon as they're released. Now, settle in, get ready, and let's begin. She was the envy of millions, a dazzling social media star who seemed to have it all: luxury, beauty, and a life most people could only dream of. But behind the curated photos and sparkling captions lay secrets that would lead to her untimely and horrifying end. This is the chilling story of Yan Min, the influencer whose life of glitz and glamour turned into a real-life nightmare during a vacation in Thailand, leaving the world stunned by the shocking truth behind her death. With over 1 million followers on social media, Yan Min was a sensation. Known for her jet-setting lifestyle, designer outfits, and inspirational posts about living your best life, Yan's brand was built on aspiration. To her fans, she was the epitome of success, a beacon of what could be achieved through hard work and determination. She was radiant. One fan commented under a recent photo of Yan posing on a pristine beach. She made us believe that anything was possible. But for those who knew her personally, Yan was more than just a polished Instagram feed. Born in a modest household, she had climbed her way to fame through sheer grit and clever marketing. Her rise was not without sacrifices, but Yan always insisted that she wanted to inspire others to dream big. Her latest posts hinted at something special. She had recently traveled to Thailand for what she described as a well-deserved escape. But the picturesque sunsets and luxurious dinners hid a darker reality. A dangerous game of trust and deception that would cost Yan her life. The first sign that something was wrong came when Yan stopped posting. Her social media accounts, once updated daily with snapshots of paradise, suddenly went silent. Fans noticed immediately, flooding her comments with concern. "Where are you, Yan?" one follower asked. "You never disappear like this." Behind the scenes, Yan's family was growing increasingly worried. Calls to her phone went unanswered, and her last known location, a high-end resort in Phuket, offered no clues. Then came the ransom call. In a chilling message, an unknown man demanded a significant sum of money in exchange for Yan's safe return. He claimed she had been kidnapped and threatened dire consequences if the family didn't comply. It was like something out of a movie, a family spokesperson later said. "We were terrified." But something about the call didn't add up. The man's demands were vague, and he refused to provide proof that Yan was alive. Desperate for answers, the family contacted Thai authorities, who quickly launched an investigation. As police delved into Yan's disappearance, they uncovered a tangled web of lies that painted a far more sinister picture. At the center of it all was Ma, a man Yan had recently begun dating. To her friends and family, he seemed charming and successful. a perfect match for someone like Jan. But Ma was not who he claimed to be. Through interviews with resort staff and CCTV footage, investigators pieced together Jan's final days. She and Ma had been seen arguing near the resort's pool shortly before her disappearance. Witnesses described Ma as agitated and Jan as distressed. Then, just hours later, Ma was caught on camera leaving the resort alone, carrying a large duffel bag. The more police dug into Ma's background, the more disturbing the revelations became. His social media presence, like Jan's, portrayed a life of luxury and success. But in reality, Ma was drowning in debt, with a history of manipulating wealthy women for financial gain. Jan, it seemed, had become his latest target. Ma had carefully cultivated his image to lure Jan into his web. From designer suits to expensive watches, everything about him screamed wealth and sophistication. He claimed to be a successful entrepreneur, but investigators soon discovered that his businesses were nothing more than elaborate scams. He was a master manipulator, one investigator said. He knew exactly how to present himself to gain trust. For Jan, who valued authenticity and worked hard to build her own success, Ma's facade must have seemed genuine. Friends later revealed that Jan had expressed doubts about him shortly before her trip to Thailand. But she brushed them aside, wanting to believe in the person she thought she knew. Jan's final social media post, shared just days before her disappearance, was a photo of her sipping champagne on a yacht, captioned, "Here's to trusting the journey." The irony of her words was not lost on her followers once the truth came to light. What should have been a celebratory moment turned into a haunting reminder of the dangers lurking beneath the surface of even the most idyllic scenarios. Jan's glamorous life, which had inspired so many, was now overshadowed by the chilling reality of her untimely death. As news of Jan's disappearance spread, her fans and followers were left reeling. Speculation ran rampant, with theories ranging from an accidental death to foul play. Social media became a frenzy of updates, tributes, and demands for answers. "She didn't deserve this," one fan tweeted. "Jan was kind, hardworking, and full of life. How could this happen to her?" While the world watched in shock, Thai authorities worked tirelessly to unravel the mystery. What they discovered would not only bring justice for Jan, but also expose the dangers of unchecked trust in an era dominated by curated personas and digital deception. As investigators dug deeper into the disappearance of Jan Min, the puzzle pieces began to fall into place, revealing a predator hiding in plain sight. The man she trusted, the man she believed loved her, was not the charming entrepreneur he pretended to be. Instead, he was a con artist with a dark and twisted agenda. The first major breakthrough came when Thai authorities reviewed surveillance footage from the luxury resort where Jan and Ma had been staying. The cameras captured what would later become key evidence in unraveling the case. Just hours after Jan was last seen alive, Ma was spotted leaving their shared suite alone, carrying a large black duffel bag. His demeanor was calm, almost unnervingly so, as if he had nothing to hide. What was in that bag? Investigators feared the worst but needed more evidence before confronting Ma. The ransom call, initially believed to be a desperate plea from kidnappers, turned out to be another piece of Ma's meticulously crafted plan. Records revealed that the call had been made from a prepaid phone purchased just days before Jan's disappearance. Authorities traced the phone's activity, discovering that Ma had used it to create the illusion of a kidnapping to extort money from Jan's family. It was a calculated move, an investigator said. He knew her family would do anything to get her back, but he underestimated their decision to involve the police. With the ransom call exposed as a hoax, Ma became the prime suspect. Police issued a warrant for his arrest, but by the time they arrived at his last known location, Ma had vanished. Investigators turned their attention to Jan's social media accounts, banking records, and communication logs. What they uncovered painted a chilling picture of Ma's manipulation. Social media stalking. Ma had followed Jan's rise to fame long before they met, studying her lifestyle, preferences, and vulnerabilities. Financial exploitation. Bank statements revealed that Jan had transferred significant sums of money to Ma in the weeks leading up to her death. She had described it to friends as a business investment, but authorities now suspected coercion. Isolation tactics. Friends reported that Jan had grown distant in the months before her trip to Thailand, a classic sign of a toxic and controlling relationship. He knew exactly how to isolate her, said one of Jan's close friends. He made her think he was her only support, her only partner in life. The investigation took a horrifying turn when police received a tip from locals near a remote area outside Phuket. A farmer reported an abandoned suitcase emitting a foul odor near his property. Authorities rushed to the scene, fearing the worst. Inside the suitcase, they found Jan's lifeless body. She had been bound and wrapped in plastic, her remains showing signs of a violent struggle. The autopsy later confirmed that she had been strangled, and defensive wounds on her hands indicated that she had fought back against her attacker. The discovery sent shockwaves through the nation, turning what was once a missing persons case into a gruesome murder investigation. It was one of the most brutal crimes we've ever encountered, a lead investigator said. With the discovery of Jan's body, the hunt for Ma intensified. Tips began pouring in from people who claimed to know him, each story adding to the chilling portrait of a man who thrived on deception. A trail of victims. Several women came forward alleging that Ma had scammed them out of money under the guise of romantic relationships. Fake identities. Authorities found evidence of multiple aliases and fake businesses linked to Ma, suggesting a long history of fraud and manipulation. A calculated persona. Former acquaintances described Ma as charming but secretive, someone who seemed too good to be true, a trait that in hindsight should have raised alarms. He was a master at creating illusions, one victim said. He made you believe he was everything you ever wanted. As the investigation unfolded, forensic evidence began to paint a clearer picture of what had happened to Jan. Trace evidence from the suitcase, including fibers and fingerprints, directly linked Ma to the crime. DNA samples recovered from Jan's body further solidified the case against him. The forensic timeline revealed a chilling sequence of events. The argument. Witnesses at the resort reported hearing raised voices coming from Jan and Ma's suite on the night she disappeared. The murder evidence suggested that Yan was strangled in the suite before her body was transported in the duffel bag. The cover-up. Ma's movements, captured on CCTV, showed him leaving the resort and disposing of the suitcase in the remote area where it was later found. This was not a crime of passion, a forensic expert concluded. It was premeditated, calculated, and executed with chilling precision. The discovery of Jan's body and the revelations about Ma's true nature sent shockwaves through social media. Fans who once idolized Jan struggled to reconcile her glamorous image with the tragic circumstances of her death. Tributes poured in, with hashtags like Justice for Yan and the Protect influencers trending worldwide. She inspired so many of us. One fan wrote, "She didn't deserve this. No one does." Meanwhile, conversations about the darker side of influencer culture began to take center stage. Experts warned about the risks of living a public life where personal details can be exploited by those with malicious intent. Influencers are more vulnerable than people realize, said one sociologist. Their curated lives make them targets for manipulation. As police closed in on Ma, the public's demand for accountability grew louder. Activists called for stronger laws to protect vulnerable individuals, particularly women in abusive or manipulative relationships. Yan's family, devastated but determined, vowed to honor her memory by fighting for justice. She was more than an influencer, her mother said through tears. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. She brought light to everyone she met. And now, we must make sure her light is not extinguished. With each revelation, Ma's carefully constructed facade crumbled. The man who once seemed invincible was now exposed as a predator, a fraud, and a murderer. But as authorities closed in on, with Yan Ah-min's gruesome murder exposed, the hunt for her killer, Ma, became a high-stakes race against time. As authorities pieced together the extent of his deception, they uncovered a chilling network of fraud, manipulation, and violence that spanned years. Ma was no ordinary conman. He was a predator who thrived on exploiting trust and hiding in plain sight. Once Ma's role in Yan's murder was confirmed, Thai authorities wasted no time issuing a nationwide alert. His face, once a polished image of charm and wealth, was now plastered across news outlets and social media platforms. The public was warned. Ma was dangerous and possibly armed. But Ma had vanished. Investigators discovered that he had fled the resort hours after disposing of Yan's body, using a false identity to evade detection. By the time the warrant for his arrest was issued, he had already crossed the border into Malaysia. It was like chasing a ghost, one investigator admitted. He knew how to disappear, and he had the resources to stay hidden. Interpol was quickly involved, and the manhunt expanded beyond Southeast Asia. Ma's multiple aliases and history of fraudulent passports made tracking him a challenge, but authorities were determined to bring him to justice. As investigators dug deeper into Ma's life, the extent of his deceit became increasingly clear. He had built his entire persona on a foundation of lies, crafting a facade that allowed him to manipulate and exploit those around him. The fake business empire. Ma claimed to be the CEO of a luxury travel company. complete with a polished website and social media accounts showcasing high-profile clients. But the business was a sham, designed to lure investors and victims like Yan into his schemes. Romantic scams. Several women came forward, revealing that Ma had used the same tactics on them. He would shower them with attention, gain their trust, and then convince them to invest in his fake ventures. One victim lost over $100,000 to his schemes. "He made you feel like you were the only one in his world," she said. But it was all a lie. A history of violence. Ma's manipulation wasn't limited to financial fraud. Police uncovered evidence of abusive behavior in past relationships, with several former partners describing him as controlling and volatile. One woman recounted how he had threatened her when she tried to leave him, saying, "If I can't have you, no one will." The turning point in the investigation came when authorities intercepted a digital trail left by Ma. Despite his attempts to cover his tracks, a financial transaction on one of his fraudulent accounts led investigators to a safe house in Kuala Lumpur. When police raided the property, they found evidence linking Ma to Yan's murder, including a laptop containing his fake ransom scripts and photos of Yan taken without her knowledge. However, Ma had already fled, leaving behind only clues to his next destination. As the manhunt continued, the public played a crucial role in keeping the pressure on Ma. Social media became a powerful tool, with users sharing updates, tips, and sightings. The hashtag #CatchManau trended globally, uniting people in the effort to bring him to justice. "He thinks he can hide, but the world is watching," one user tweeted. "We won't stop until Yan gets the justice she deserves." The global attention put immense pressure on Ma, limiting his ability to move freely. Every step he took, someone was watching, waiting to report him. After weeks on the run, Ma's luck finally ran out. Acting on a tip from a hotel employee in Singapore, authorities launched a midnight raid on a luxury suite where Ma was hiding. The arrest was swift but dramatic, with Ma attempting to flee through a back exit before being tackled by officers. In his possession were multiple fake passports, a large sum of cash, and a duffel bag containing evidence from Yan's murder. As he was led away in handcuffs, Ma's composed facade finally cracked. Witnesses described him as disheveled and panicked, a stark contrast to the suave persona he had so carefully maintained. With Ma in custody, investigators began to dismantle his web of lies. The details that emerged were both shocking and heartbreaking. A predator's strategy. Ma had targeted Yan not just for her wealth, but for her influence. Her social media presence made her a high-profile victim, and he saw her as a means to elevate his fraudulent lifestyle. Calculated manipulation. Text messages between Ma and Yan revealed a disturbing pattern of emotional abuse. He alternated between flattery and threats, using psychological tactics to control her. The final argument. Forensic analysis of Yan's phone showed that their last interaction was an argument over money. Ma's anger escalated when Yan threatened to expose him, leading to the tragic events that unfolded. The news of Ma's arrest sent shockwaves through Thailand and beyond. Yan's followers, who had watched her life unfold online, were both relieved and heartbroken. Tributes flooded social media, with fans sharing memories of Yan's kindness, ambition, and resilience. She was a star who shone too brightly, one follower wrote. But her light will never be extinguished. Jan's family, while grateful for Ma's capture, expressed the deep pain of knowing her life had been taken so brutally. "We will never get her back," her mother said in a tearful statement. "But we can make sure no one else falls victim to monsters like him." Ma's arrest reignited discussions about the dangers of social media, the vulnerabilities of influencers, and the societal factors that enable predators like him to operate. Experts highlighted the need for greater awareness and education about online safety, particularly for those in the public eye. Influencers often live under the illusion of control, one sociologist explained, but their visibility makes them targets for people who see them as objects, not individuals. As Ma awaited trial, the fight for justice was far from over. Prosecutors worked tirelessly to build a case that would ensure he could never harm another person. Meanwhile, Yen's family vowed to use her story as a force for change, advocating for stronger protections for women and stricter penalties for abusers. "This isn't just about Yan," her father said. "It's about making sure her death wasn't in vain." While Ma's arrest marked a turning point, the story of Yanar Min remains a stark reminder of the dangers lurking behind carefully curated facades. Her life, though tragically short, has become a symbol of resilience and the enduring fight for justice. With Ma in custody, the focus shifted to the courtroom, where a trial would reveal the shocking extent of his crimes and the chilling details of Yanar Min's final moments. The case became a global spectacle, drawing attention from both true crime enthusiasts and Yan's devoted followers, all united by a single demand: justice for Yan. The trial began amid intense public scrutiny. Reporters from around the world gathered outside the courthouse in Bangkok, capturing every moment of the high-profile case. Yan's parents, stoic yet visibly heartbroken, were flanked by supporters wearing T-shirts bearing her image and the words, "Justice for Yan." Inside the courtroom, Ma sat emotionless, his once polished appearance replaced by the weary look of a man whose lies had finally caught up with him. His demeanor, cold and detached, only added to the horror of his crimes as the prosecution laid out the chilling evidence. Prosecutors meticulously constructed a timeline of events, painting a damning picture of Ma's premeditation and cruelty. Key evidence included CCTV footage. The videos showed Ma leaving the resort with a large duffel bag, later identified as the means by which he transported Yan's body. His calm demeanor in the footage underscored the calculated nature of his actions. Forensic evidence. DNA samples recovered from the suitcase and Yan's body conclusively linked Ma to the crime. Fibers from the duffel bag matched those found on Yan, and her autopsy revealed clear signs of strangulation. Digital footprint. Investigators presented text messages between Ma and Yan, in which he pressured her to transfer money, using threats and emotional manipulation. The prosecution argued that her refusal to comply had led to the fatal confrontation. These weren't the actions of a man who lost control, the prosecutor stated in his opening arguments. These were the calculated moves of a predator who saw his victim as a means to an end. One of the most heart-wrenching moments of the trial came when Yan's close friend, Mei Lin, took the stand. She recounted Yan's initial excitement about her relationship with Ma. followed by growing doubts as his behavior became more controlling. Jan told me she was scared of him, Maylene said, her voice breaking. She said he had a temper, but she didn't want to believe he could hurt her. She always tried to see the good in people. Maylene's testimony humanized Jan, reminding the court and the world that she was more than just a victim. She was a vibrant, ambitious young woman whose life had been cruelly cut short. Ma's defense team attempted to portray him as a man overwhelmed by financial pressures and emotional instability. They argued that Jan's death was the result of a heated argument that spiraled out of control, not a premeditated act of violence. He deeply regrets what happened, Ma's lawyer claimed. This was a tragedy, but it was not murder. The defense also tried to shift blame onto Jan, implying that her refusal to help Ma financially had provoked the fatal confrontation. This tactic was met with outrage both inside and outside the courtroom, with many calling it a cruel attempt to deflect responsibility. In a dramatic turn of events, Ma took the stand. His testimony was cold and calculating, offering little insight into the man behind the mask. He admitted to disposing of Jan's body, but denied killing her intentionally. "She hit me first," Ma claimed, his voice devoid of emotion. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was an accident." His words were met with audible gasps from the courtroom. For Jan's parents, the lack of remorse was unbearable. Her mother broke down in tears, clutching a photo of her daughter as Ma continued to deflect blame. Despite Ma's attempts to minimize his role, the physical evidence left no doubt about his guilt. Forensic experts testified that Jan's injuries were consistent with deliberate strangulation, not an accidental death as Ma claimed. The prosecution also highlighted the meticulous planning that followed the crime, from the disposal of her body to the fake ransom call. "His actions after her death tell you everything you need to know," the prosecutor argued. "This was no accident. This was murder." As the trial progressed, public sentiment against Ma grew stronger. Outside the courthouse, protesters gathered daily, holding signs demanding the maximum penalty. Social media buzzed with updates, with hashtags like "Jan deserves justice" and "life formafer" trending worldwide. "Ma doesn't deserve to walk free," one post read. "He took her life without a second thought. Now it's time for him to pay." Jan's story also reignited conversations about the darker side of influencer culture, the dangers of manipulation, and the vulnerabilities of those living in the public eye. Advocacy groups used her case to push for greater awareness and legal protections, ensuring that her death would not be in vain. The jury returned a unanimous verdict. Ma was found guilty of premeditated murder, fraud, and obstruction of justice. The judge, in a scathing condemnation of his actions, sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. "This court finds your actions to be cold, calculated, and devoid of any humanity," the judge said. "You preyed on a trusting young woman, using her for your own gain, and ended her life in the most brutal way imaginable. For this, you will face the full weight of justice." The courtroom erupted in applause and tears as the verdict was read. For Jan's family, it was a bittersweet moment. A measure of justice, but one that could never bring their daughter back. Ma's conviction marked a turning point, not just in Jan's case, but in the broader fight against exploitation and violence. Advocacy groups celebrated the verdict as a victory for victims everywhere, a reminder that justice is possible even in the face of overwhelming darkness. This isn't just about Yan, her father said in a press conference after the sentencing. It's about every woman who has ever been manipulated, controlled, or silenced. Yan's story will continue to inspire change. In the weeks following the trial, Yan's family established the Yan Min Foundation, dedicated to empowering young women and promoting online safety. The foundation's programs include workshops on recognizing toxic relationships, resources for influencers, and initiatives to support victims of abuse. Yan wanted to make the world a better place, her mother said at the foundation's launch. Through this foundation, she still can. While the trial brought closure to Yan's case, her story remains a haunting reminder of the dangers lurking behind carefully curated facades. Her life, though tragically cut short, has become a symbol of resilience, justice, and the enduring fight to protect the vulnerable. With Ma sentenced to life imprisonment, the focus turned to Yan Min's legacy. A life cut tragically short, but destined to inspire meaningful change. Her story, though rooted in heartbreak, has become a rallying cry for justice, awareness, and empowerment. In the aftermath of the trial, Yan's family established the Yan Min Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to combating the dangers that contributed to her tragic death. Its mission: to educate, empower, and protect others from falling victim to manipulation, abuse, and violence. The Foundation's initiatives include workshops on relationship red flags, designed to help young people recognize the warning signs of toxic and controlling relationships, resources for influencers, focused on online safety, personal security, and navigating the risks of public visibility, support services for victims, offering counseling, legal aid, and financial assistance to individuals escaping abusive situations. Yan always wanted to make a difference, her mother said at the foundation's launch event. Now, through her story, she will continue to do so. Yan's case sparked a global conversation about the double-edged sword of social media. While platforms like Instagram and TikTok allowed her to build a life of influence and success, they also made her vulnerable to predators like Ma. Experts weighed in on the dangers of curated online personas, emphasizing the need for balance and caution. Social media creates an illusion of connection, one sociologist explained. But it can also expose people to exploitation, especially when trust is misplaced. The Yan Min Foundation has partnered with tech companies to raise awareness about these risks, advocating for enhanced privacy features and educational campaigns. The collaboration aims to ensure that influencers and everyday users alike can navigate social media safely. Yan's death also ignited a broader movement in Thailand and beyond, shining a spotlight on the need for systemic reforms to protect vulnerable individuals. Advocacy groups seized the moment to push for changes in laws and societal norms, focusing on stronger protections for women, expanding legal definitions of abuse to include emotional manipulation and coercive control, establishing harsher penalties for predators who exploit trust for personal gain. Mandatory safety training. Introducing personal safety and awareness workshops in schools, colleges, and workplaces. Educating individuals on identifying and responding to potentially dangerous situations. Improved victim support. Increasing funding for shelters, counseling services, and legal aid for survivors of abuse and violence. This isn't just about Jan, one activist said. It's about creating a world where no one has to experience what she did. The influencer community, shaken by Jan's story, has rallied to honor her legacy. Many have used their platforms to spread awareness about the risks of their profession, offering tips on staying safe while maintaining a public presence. Initiatives like Influencers for Jan have brought creators together, fostering a sense of solidarity and responsibility. Jan's life reminds us that fame doesn't make you invincible, said one popular creator. We have to look out for each other and for ourselves. The tragedy has also prompted discussions about transparency in influencer culture, encouraging creators to share the realities behind the filters and carefully curated content. For many, Jan's story serves as a reminder that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a call for vigilance. Jan's story has forced society to confront uncomfortable truths about manipulation, abuse, and the blurred lines between trust and betrayal. Among the key takeaways are the danger of isolation. Ma's control over Jan depended on isolating her from her friends and family, a common tactic in abusive relationships. Recognizing and addressing these patterns is critical to preventing similar tragedies. The illusion of perfection. Jan's glamorous social media presence hid the struggles and vulnerabilities she faced behind the scenes. Her story underscores the importance of looking beyond the surface and supporting those who may be suffering in silence. The importance of community. The outpouring of support from Jan's followers, friends, and advocacy groups highlights the power of collective action in seeking justice and driving change. For Jan's parents, the pain of losing their daughter is a wound that will never fully heal. Yet, they have found purpose in ensuring her story inspires change. Jan was our light, her father said at a recent vigil. And now we will make sure her light shines for others. The family has become vocal advocates for victims of abuse, sharing their journey and encouraging others to speak out. Their strength has inspired countless others to come forward with their own stories, breaking the silence that often surrounds abuse and manipulation. Jan's life, though tragically short, has become a symbol of hope and resilience. Her story is a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is the potential for light and change. Through her foundation, her family, and the countless lives she touched, Jan's legacy continues to grow. Yen believed in living boldly, her mother said. And even though she's gone, her boldness lives on. In the lives she's changed, in the hearts she's touched, and in the movement she's inspired. The case of Yana Min is more than just a tragic story. It's a wake-up call. It has exposed the dangers of manipulation, the vulnerabilities of public personas, and the urgent need for systemic change. But it has also shown the power of resilience, community, and the enduring fight for justice. As Jan's story continues to inspire action, her light will never fade. Her legacy reminds us that even in the face of unspeakable tragedy, there is always the potential for hope, change, and a brighter future. Yanar Min's story may have ended in tragedy, but her legacy continues to shape a brighter, safer future. The shockwaves of her murder have driven societal change, strengthened communities, and illuminated the dangers of unchecked trust and online personas. As the world reflects on the lessons from her life and death, Yan's influence endures, not just as an inspiration, but as a call to action. Yan's death became a catalyst for discussions about personal safety, digital awareness, and the hidden dangers of the influencer lifestyle. Her foundation, established by her family, has spearheaded campaigns to educate the public on the warning signs of manipulation and abuse. From schools to workplaces, the Yan Ah Min Foundation has brought critical conversations to the forefront. Yan's story isn't just about what happened to her mother said at a recent event. It's about what we can do to protect others. It's about making sure no one else has to suffer the way she did. The foundation has partnered with governments, tech companies, and non-profits to implement lasting changes, including social media safety programs, teaching influencers and users how to safeguard their personal information and recognize suspicious behavior, legal reforms, advocating for stricter penalties for online predators and enhanced protections for public figures. Support networks, creating spaces where victims of abuse and manipulation can seek help without fear of judgment or retaliation. One of the most profound impacts of Yan's story has been on younger generations, who see her as a cautionary tale and a symbol of resilience. In schools, workshops on online safety and emotional intelligence have become part of the curriculum, teaching students how to navigate relationships and digital spaces with caution. Yan showed us that even the strongest people can be vulnerable, said one student who attended a foundation-sponsored workshop. Her story makes me want to be more aware, not just for myself, but for my friends and family too. Social media platforms too have embraced the lessons from Yan's case. New features aimed at enhancing user safety, such as account verification tools, anonymity checks for financial transactions, and flagged messages for abusive language, are now being implemented worldwide. Yan's story has also sparked a transformation within the influencer community. Many creators, inspired by her legacy, have begun to share the realities behind their curated lives, fostering authenticity and vulnerability in a space often dominated by perfection. The hashtag #RealFoyan became a movement, encouraging influencers to post unfiltered content and discuss the challenges of their profession. Yan's death taught us that the pressure to appear perfect can be dangerous, said one prominent creator. We owe it to her and to ourselves to be real. The tragedy has also highlighted the importance of community within the influencer world. Creators now work together to promote safety, sharing resources and tips to protect themselves and their peers from exploitation. Yan's case forced a broader reckoning with societal attitudes toward manipulation, control, and the commodification of personal lives. Advocacy groups have used her story to push for cultural shifts, emphasizing the need for empathy, understanding that victims of manipulation often feel trapped and isolated, and offering support rather than judgment. The dangers of idealization. Recognizing that even those who seem to have it all, like Jan, are not immune to pain and danger. The power of vigilance. Encouraging communities to look out for one another. Recognizing and reporting signs of abuse and exploitation. These conversations have sparked meaningful change, creating a culture where safety and awareness are prioritized. Jan's story has resonated far beyond Thailand, inspiring change on an international scale. Governments in countries around the world have adopted measures to enhance influencer safety and combat online exploitation. Advocacy groups have used her case as a rallying cry, raising awareness about the systemic issues that enable predators like Ma to operate. Jan's light reached across borders, said the representative from an international nonprofit. Her story is a reminder that the fight against manipulation and violence is a global one. For Jan's family, the pain of her loss remains a daily struggle. Yet, they have found purpose in honoring her legacy and ensuring her story inspires change. Through the foundation, they have connected with other families who have experienced similar tragedies, offering support and solidarity. "We are not alone," Jan's father said. And that's what gives us strength to know that Jan's story is helping others, even in the face of our grief. Their work has touched countless lives, turning their personal tragedy into a beacon of hope. While much progress has been made, Jan's story also serves as a reminder that the fight against exploitation and violence is far from over. Predators like Ma still exist, and the systems meant to protect victims are not yet foolproof. Advocacy groups continue to push for stronger laws, better education, and greater accountability. "We owe it to Jan to keep fighting," said a representative from the foundation. Her story has already changed the world, but there's still so much more to do. Jan's life, though tragically short, was filled with light, ambition, and love. Her impact is felt not only in the lives of those she touched directly, but also in the countless others who have been inspired by her story. Through her foundation, her family, and the global movement she inspired, Jan's legacy lives on. At a recent vigil held in her memory, attendees lit candles and shared stories of how Jan had influenced their lives. Her mother, addressing the crowd, offered a poignant reminder. Jan believed in living boldly, in chasing dreams and spreading kindness. She may be gone, but her light will never fade. Jan's story is more than just a cautionary tale. It's a call to action, a testament to the power of resilience, and a reminder of the impact one life can have. Her legacy continues to inspire change, proving that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, hope and transformation are possible. Jan's light shines on, a beacon for those who seek justice, truth, and a better, safer world. Her story isn't just about what was lost, it's about what can be built in its place.